Had our team meeting this morning. Just told the guys how proud of them I was. It was thought a great team win. I thought all three phases had their hand in it. Multiple guys. Some guys having to step up and fill in some different roles, and thought it was a real testament of Aggie pride and our staff and players. Going against what I think is a really, really good football team on the road, and finding a way to win those games. That's a great lesson for us to learn as we continue this journey. So really, really proud of the team. Obviously, still plenty of things we can do better, but as we keep saying every week, if we can learn and gather wins as we're doing it, that's a bonus. So hopefully we can continue to grow and continue to improve as the season goes. I think first, just to echo, Matt Coombs is a tremendous coach, an elite coordinator, and has a real good feel for what he wants to do defensively. And now being in the conference, as long as he has, being at the FCS level now for a while, I think he's got a real good feel for how to adjust. We're definitely down a lot of guys, especially during the game, lost a few more. I thought their ability, we knew we had to stop the run, especially the power scheme, and it was going to be just an anvil smash one after another. And so they were able to move Kavir Baines into the run fits and get him involved, and Samaj at corner, who was just tremendous. As much as he was in pass defense, it was his ability to get involved in the run game that helped us in that. And then I thought we had a really good third down plan, being able to find 11 guys that we could put in there and put them to their strengths. So you saw guys like Carrillo, who's a good pass rusher, finding ways to get him some one-on-ones and bringing some different pressures with some different fronts. I thought helped us on the back end, get some pressure on the quarterback. And so I just thought, their ability to adapt and improvise and overcome in that scenario. During the week they made some adjustments, I think even on Wednesday, to what they were doing with the defensive game plan, and that's just some forward thinking from him and the defensive staff. And those guys have been together for the most part for a while, so I think they got a good rapport, and they were tremendous. And we talked at halftime. We had a great drive going in, got the field goal. Hey, we're going to need a 3-and-out, and we're going to have to go down and score. And they did that, and then got another 3-and-out, went down, scored again, and all of a sudden the momentum had shifted, and they, felt like we got more control of the game at that point. So they deserve a lot of credit. I thought they were magnificent in the game. I think it starts with you got to be able to run the ball more efficiently, and we're just not having efficient runs on the early downs in the red area right now, and so just figuring out a better way to be consistent within that. And then, when we take our shots, we got to be able to hit them, and we got to be able to convert in those scenarios. And had some plays that we felt good about that we didn't execute quite the way we wanted to. And again, there's things we got to do better, but you got to give Southern Utah credit too. That's a fantastic defense. I mean, they are loaded at all three levels, and they made it really hard throughout the game. And so, yeah, it's obviously a point of emphasis. We got to score more touchdowns when we're down there, and we got to score more points in general. I mean, we offensively just haven't been able to get over the hump to where we really can be, in my opinion. But I think we're working towards it, and I look forward to us continuing to grow and trying to get that point total up. Yeah, right now there's a lot of question marks for sure. I mean, obviously we lost Jackson Cloyd in the beginning of the game, and we already were down Grant Garrettson at the start of the game. So from an edge rusher standpoint, that put us in a real tough spot. So Luca went in, played fantastic, and it was good to see him do a great job. Hoping to get Porter back this week, but won't know that till later in the week. Blake Anselatis is now eligible to play, so getting him back at the linebacker spot will be great, although Nick Afato filled in and played a lot and played well. So getting those guys back will be important. Got to see where Trent Carrot is with his hand and Sony is with his hand. And so we just had the year of the hands for some reason for our guys up front. And then obviously Jaden Stanley had a hammy go on him, early in the game. Don't think it's too bad, but, there's always something you got to kind of evaluate. Thought Gavin Cook came in and filled in and helped us a lot too. So, again, just multiple guys showing up. Tyson McWilliams went in and spelled Samaj when he was getting banged up. And so a lot of question marks right now. I think we'll have more, more answers probably later in the week on some of these guys. We're hoping though, keeping our fingers crossed. Tend to detach from the results in general. I'm more excited about how we played. I thought that was our best game as a team of the 3 games we've played, and was just so happy to see the guys come together and just the excitement on the sideline. And we knew going into that game how tough it was going to be. We knew that was going to be a really tough test, and to find a way to win that game as a team, that's what I feel most joy about. The wins are great, but I'm just happy that we're playing well. That was a day I thought we played well. Yeah, that was obviously a mistake by him. And I think the tough thing with Miles and the bummer for him is, you go 24 for 30 for 270 yards, and he had a great feel in the game, but just made a key error. We had a shot play on there with our slot receiver, and had the look that we wanted. They played a little bit of a different coverage, and he got spooked a little bit on taking the shot throw and thought he had an open check down in the flat and didn't see the corner hanging out, and made a mistake. But you said it, I think, having a veteran presence to bounce back very next drive, 17-play drive, and was able to move on, and that's a testament to who he is as a person. And don't want him to make those mistakes. Don't want to start games out that way on the road. So we got to get better there. He knows that. But I thought his response was awesome. Both penalties that hurt us, that you're talking about that I can think of, had a lot to do probably with Southern Utah more than us, and the fact that their defensive ends are just, tremendous football players. And so everything we had to do to get those guys under control was a nightmare. And so there were a few times where we were trying to double him, and they were able to split the double, and now our guy's kind of on an edge. And obviously we need better technique in those scenarios, but I would lean more towards giving them a lot of credit for just how talented and how relentless they are on the edge. Thought it was a really good call by Coach Coombs. We had been mixing in some pressures and some man coverage, and all of a sudden he mixed in a zone match coverage, and David did a great job really rerouting number 3 in the seam, and kind of getting into the blind spot for the QB. But I think the cool part is just to see our entire sideline when he makes the interception, but to also see the entire sideline when he got down, and he came over and spear tackled me right after he did it, busted my lip open. But just that's a cool moment. Just being a head coach and you see a player and he learns and he's listening and he wants to help us win by any means necessary. But when he tackled me, he reminded me that he would have scored again. So that should count. Yeah. No, did not shoot him. And he did remind me multiple times that would have been the third. So I said, thanks for getting down. I've been here for some pretty fantastic plays. I'm just in my memory thinking back to Keelan Doss made a one-handed catch against Eastern Washington out here where he dove and rolled over the top. But, the last 2 weeks, that catch, the catch the other night where he's reaching behind, he's able to keep his balance and take it 60. Again, I just keep telling, send that to the NFL scouts and let them see why he's so special. That's why he's land. Of the 58 plays we had on offense, he's touching the ball 23 of the 58 plays for 190-something yards or whatever. He's a tremendous player, but I still think he's got things he can get better at, right? He had a ball on the ground in the game, and so we're still going to coach him just as hard as the others. But, that's up there. That's probably a top 5 offensive play I've seen since I've been here. And the one last week might be up there too. I don't know. I think the whole receiver unit is doing a good job of taking pride in their physicality on the perimeter. I think Coach Locke's doing a great job, kind of preaching the no block, no rock mentality. The long run that Lan had, the 50-yard run before the half, CJ sprung that run with a block. And then the touchdown run, he sprung it, but also Stacy's on the backside. He just ran the take post, and he's blocking the safety 50 yards downfield. And, if you're going to have big plays, it's going to come usually because those guys have recovery effort. And, really proud of CJ. He hasn't, always had in his mind probably the role that he wanted, and he's been dealing with that and working through it. And he was a guy I recruited pretty heavily out of high school, so happy for him to just be playing free and playing with joy. And the kickoff return was obviously a huge, huge play in the game. And, we put him back there weeks ago. Hey, who can we trust? Who can we trust to make the right decisions? And that was the first name that came to mind. So Trent was great, and I mean, what doesn't speak to Trent Tompkins is that in the biggest third down of the game, right? Biggest third down of the game, new concept. He goes out, executes it perfectly, catches the ball, gets the first down. So, I mean, just tremendous. And having him back is obviously just helps us give our guys some rest. You know, we can't just play the same three guys, and so we'll keep finding different ways to get Trent involved, and we'll always have some good stuff, you know, cooked up for him every week to get him going. And I'm sure his role will continue to grow as his health continues to get back where it needs to be.
Do you see him getting?
I know Coach Anderson from when he was at Stanford, and always had a great deal of respect for him and what he did defensively. So, you know, I see a really sound team defensively that plays really hard. I know offensively they've been trying to find an identity, but they got talented players there and good coaches. So I view it more as a real scary opponent, a team that's got their back against the wall, that is going to be really well coached and coming here with a lot of confidence that they can do some good things. So we're going to need to, again, it's going to be more about us and continuing to grow and playing more consistently in all three phases, because the schedule only gets tougher as the weeks come, and they've played some tough teams. I mean, Montana State's obviously a great team. UNLV's obviously a great team, and NAU's obviously a great team. So sometimes the record doesn't really tell you how good a team is. They've played three tough opponents, and so I'm sure they're going to be ready to go. I think it's just consistency, you know, Bob. I think it's just offensively being better in the red area like we've talked about, you know, not turn the ball over, being more explosive. We got to figure out a way to get our point total, you know, over 30 points. You're not going to win the Big Sky if you can't score. And so we got to get that point total up higher. I think defensively, just aligning ourselves in the pre-snap. You know, the only time you can get us on defense, I really feel, is if our guys don't get aligned. And when they're aligned and they know what they're doing, they're pretty tough. And then, you know, on special teams, just being real consistent in the kicking game with our locations and our protections, and continuing to be aggressive and hopefully, you know, making key plays like we made last week that can help us. So I think there's areas in all three phases we can continue to get better, and we're going to need to if we're going to, you know, compete in such a great conference.